Something that is hugely important in your module is what happens at Selma to get the Voting Rights Act in 1965. This is sometimes referred to as Bloody Sunday, so if in the exam question it mentions about 1965 Bloody Sunday, remember you're meant to be writing about what happens in Selma. So, what happened was, in 1965, Martin Luther King asked President Johnson to grant voting rights for the black African Americans. Now the problem was everybody in America should have the right to vote, but in reality that didn't happen because you had to go and register to vote. And every time a black person went to register to vote, they either got a difficult literacy test put in front of them, there was some sort of poll tax that they had to pay that they couldn't afford, or, as I've told you in class, they got asked ridiculous questions. Remember what you saw on that DVD about Selma, where that lady was asked to name the 67 judges of her state? There was no way she could possibly have known that. So one way or another, the white authorities would not let enough black people register to vote. And the reason why Martin Luther King picked on Selma in Alabama to do this was that 50% of the people living there were black and only 1% were registered to vote. So he knew if he tried to do a peaceful march there would be lots and lots of problems. He himself previously had visited the area and saw how racist it was. He actually received a punch in the face from somebody in the white authorities, so he knew that this was the perfect place to get publicity for the cause. So what happens is, to start with, they do a peaceful march to Selma, Alabama. They've walked for miles, and when it gets to the bridge, you find that the black Americans are stood on one side and the white authorities are stood on the other. Now the black Americans stop when they're told to, but they refuse to move. And at that point, what happens is all of the white authorities, and we're talking all sorts of people are there, some are police, some are the National Guard, all of these people start running and attacking the black African Americans. Some are whipped, some are shot at, some are beaten to the floor, tear gas is released on them. There's massive, massive violence. And it's only very, very lucky that nobody is actually killed. There are a number, though, who were seriously injured. Now, because a lot of reporters were there and television crews, 70 million people in America watched Selma take place. And the black African Americans hadn't done anything wrong. They were just doing it in a peaceful way. So it really showed up the white authorities. And in doing this, it showed up those, but it also embarrassed the American government again, because they hadn't passed a Voting Rights Act, and then this was the result of it. So when King saw this, he was absolutely horrified, and instead of giving in to all this violence against them, he decided to make them go again. So Martin Luther King, this time, joined them, but also so did a number of the clergy. When I'm saying clergy, I mean things like priests, nuns, vicars, anybody who was involved in religion. And a lot of people as well who were white, so white sympathisers joined them as well. So this was now a fully integrated march. And this time, because of all of the adverse publicity, they marched exactly back to the same spot where Bloody Sunday had taken place. And what happens this time is the white authorities stand aside. They decide not to walk over the bridge because they don't think they need to do that to prove a point, but the fact that the white troopers have moved away shows that peaceful protest has won the day again. So Johnson, in 1965, due to the events at Selma, has to pass the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Okay? This again is showing that peaceful protest is working and King has managed to force the hand of the government.